All right, so
I like you guys.
Access to the names.
access human name. So let's say you're writing an application where you have people in it, and the application I built was called You People, and I thought of all sorts of ways to use that, but it's not going to happen. And what you're trying to do is you're trying to display the names of the people in your application in different ways. Like you might need to display them as a formal name, you know, with all their suffixes and all that crap, like John Jacob Jingleheimer Smith III. Or maybe you just have their like friendly name, like Johnny. Or maybe you have like just their like normal name, like John Smith. Or stuff like that. Or there's just different ways of formatting it. And so then you decide that rather than do this in like 5 different applications and repeat the code or cut and paste or whatever, you decide you're just going to make a plugin to do that.
So I'm going to try and get something that's a little less hard to read in minutes.
Okay.
Is that better?
So the idea is I just want to show you basically how you can take some code and turn it into a plugin. And I wanted to use the acts as blah, blah, blah as an example because that's real common and we all see acts as nested set or acts as reportable and stuff like that. And can you show like the way the directory structure of this app, this plugin? So it looks.
What do you want? You want to just run the show?
What's that?
You want to just run the show from my computer?
Can you just open Finder and like show the folder structure?
Spoilers.
So. Sorry. So to make an access human name plugin, what I did was I had this code in my app, and I went and I cut and paste and threw it in this human name file here in a plugin. In Rails, you can generate a plugin, and in Rails 3, I think it's just Rails generate plugin, and then you give it the name, and it'll generate it. And it comes with a structure that looks pretty familiar. You'll have test folders and stuff like that. And then the Indy.rb, you might need to, can you click on that, Joel? Or open it in Emacs. What all you're really saying is that active record is going to include this class. And then go back to Finder. And to make it look like an acts as, you have to have that folder called acts, and then a folder called active record, and you stick it in there. And then it knows that that's acts as human name. So now it's just. Can you open up human name.rb in Emacs? Sorry. Thanks, Joel, for helping. So in a plugin, you might want to make class methods, or you might want to make instance methods. And this is a real simple plugin, but I just wanted to basically show how you do this. And so you're just telling it to extend the class methods of the base, and you'll notice that it's the module how it flows like that. So that's how Rails know it acts as plugin. And then if you scroll down, then this is really discriminating.
Emacs tends to be this way.
No, it's not that. It's not just not my computer. Sorry.
I can open it in TextMate if you'd rather see it.
No, it's okay. All right, so in a lot of plugins, let's say we have last name, first name, middle name, suffix, those are on the model. And this plugin assumes that you have those fields. But you could pass in options to tell it that, that you're actually going to use a column called surname or nickname or given name or whatever for some of these. And so that's how you'd pass it in the configuration. But then later on in the instance methods, you have to use those values to get stuff, which I didn't do, but I can show you where to find out. And so let's scroll down a little bit more.
No?
So this basically just includes all the instance methods. Let's go down. All right, here they are. So I made two methods. Basically, regular name and full name, and just some simple logic. It actually probably doesn't stand up to what you would really use this for, but I didn't want to be too fancy. But this is what I use in TrueTrack, by the way, which works great for TrueTrack. But all it does is it just provides these two methods, and then come on in, sit down. Believe me, you'll be doing the Ruby News in 2 minutes.
Oh, well,
Oh yeah. So then all you do is once you have this, you install it as a plugin, and then you automatically get these methods on any class that you say acts as human name. So then you have regular name and full name, and that's kind of useful. The thing that was cool to me was how easy this really is, because all you really have to do is you have to say, once you say these are my instance methods, and you figured out like in how to map the columns that the person is using to the variables you're using in your methods, then it's just like any other model programming that you would do, except that now it's a plugin or that you can use in any sort of application. Which it was just really, really easy. I thought, because it seems when you haven't done it, it seems like mysterious and hard. And then I thought, man, this would be really cool. When I was working on this in TrueTrack, I was thinking this would be a cool thing to do to learn how to do plugins. And I was like done in 30 minutes. And that to me was the most impressive part of that. So, you may have a question. Please.
So I think
Throw something.
you can do this part a little bit. This block. I don't think you have to do class eval, so you can just do extend or possibly include.
Yeah, you're probably right. I actually, to do this, what I did was I copied someone else's plugin and then just started hacking at it. So that was one of the things I wanted to ask, actually, and I thought it'd be kind of cool to do this every now and then, is to have a kind of like a group code review.
I was going to say, could you move that, where you're doing the class eval there, just do that in the included, do just base included?
But that's what Joel was saying,
Oh, okay.
I think.
Yeah.
I agree with Joel.
And then I'll show you something. Once you've got this working, you can write tests for it and run automated tests and stuff. But what I was going to show you, I don't think my tests will actually run, but you can look at it.
You mean once you write some tests and see them fail and then write some code, you can see them pass?
Yeah, which is how I did it, and then, but there's, I did this in TrueTrack first, and all these tests are also in TrueTrack, and then it worked there.
Okay.
And then I ported it over to this plugin, and then I got like bored with it and didn't make the test work in the plugin because I've got them in the app. It's lame. But then let's say you want to make that into a gem and put it on Ruby gems, so that it's easy to like, you know, you don't even have to have plugins in the directory anymore. So if you go to the rake file, this is one way of doing this. You could actually just have a gem spec, but in my rake file, I just generate a gem spec. Oh, poop. This was only on my computer.
Commit and push.
Okay, that's
Why isn't it here yet? Oh my gosh.
Shut up! I'm always
Bastard.
nervous.
All true.
Is it there yet?
Shut up.
I think she just alias enter. You get cool.
Okay. Is it going to show my commit messages? Oh, that's too bad. Yes.
Thanks.
All right. So basically, I wrote a rake task that creates your gem spec, and a gem spec just tells Gem how to build your gem. And so you put in the name, the version, all of that stuff. And then all you have to do to build this as a gem is do rake gem. Dun, dun, dun. Doesn't work for him.
Works on my machine.
Our spec? He's our spec.
Oh, yeah. And then once if you want to make it available, if you've got Ruby gems installed, then you can just do gem push and give it the name of the gem file, and it pushes it up there, and then it's available for anybody on Ruby gems to use. If you want to learn how to do this, if you Google, Joel, how to create a Rails plugin, there's a Rails guide for this that is really awesome.
Google Instant.
It's actually plugins. That one. That guide is really awesome, and it walks you through. It has an example app for to go all the way from a plugin to a gem. And if I had just said, when we realized my laptop wasn't going to work, if I just said go to this site and sat back down, probably would have gotten more out of this. And I'm done. Thank you very much. He's done with it. Thanks, Joel, for making this less horrible.
Thank you, Joel.